Hello and welcome back to LFC Transfer Room, back again with another stream. Today I'm joined by Dan and Kev. First of all, Dan, how you doing, mate? Football finally back. Well, club football finally back on Saturday. I'm absolutely buzzing. How are you feeling?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm so happy that we managed to get so many players back. I'm sure we're going to be discussing that soon, but I mean, Konaté is back in training. The likes of Jordan Henderson is back in training. Trent didn't have any injuries. Jota just was subbed off due to fatigue. So all these players are coming back. Darwin scored. It's been a decent international break for us. What about you, my friend? You doing okay?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Just absolutely tired through college. To be fair, at the minute, just seem to not be able to do anything productive. But yeah, hopefully after the weekend, watching the Mighty Reds play again, I'll be back refreshed and ready to go. How about you, Kev? How are you doing today?
All good. Even better after what Dan's just said. So, and yourself. So, no, all good. My FPL team's doing well. Still top of the table. Need to make a few transfer window pushes. So, we need to speak to the chairman before Saturday morning's deadline. But all good, mate. All good.
Yeah, you're absolutely flying right now, aren't you? Like, where are you in the world? Because you've got to be up there. Like,
I'm about
you
at
know,
120, about 124,000 in the world at the minute.
really, I'm surprised it's not higher at all. I must be about 2 million. I'm doing absolutely terrible. How are you doing the fantasy football, Dan? Hello, you're on mute, mate.
What was that?
What?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How are you doing on the fantasy football front?
Kevin's probably doing really good. I'm not in the fantasy stuff, mainly because I always lose. I'm pretty bad at guessing who's gonna play, who's gonna start or not, or score.
Oh dear, not so good there. But
93,000 it is. 93,000 it is, Owen. So,
that's good. To be fair, considering there's about 6 million playing, you can't really complain with that. And yeah, people in the chat now.
can't.
Hello, Jen. Hi, Gary. How are we all doing? Great to see you all in there as per usual. But yeah, game Saturday, Brighton at home, and I think we can go over the team that we think should play in that game because Konaté now has returned to training. And starting off with Konaté because I think he's an absolutely unbelievable centre half, and considering he's 23 years of age, he's going to go on to be in my opinion, the best centre half in the world. Dan, it's such a big boost to see him back train, isn't it?
I am so excited, man. Mainly because I feel like Konate just looks more smooth than Joel Matip. Even though Matip is a top center back, every time he's on the ball, he just looks very, I don't know. He's just so tall, kind of clumsy, but he never does really make any mistakes. To be honest, Matip. But Kanachi just gives me more assurance, more speed, more strength. He's basically like a young version of a Virgil van Dijk. So having him back hopefully brings back his best. We see even stronger Liverpool defense, even though our defense was never an issue. It was more of the attack and midfield. But I'm even happier than ever. I don't want to see Joe Gomez for now start for us anymore. I don't know if it's what's going on, if it's more of a mental state or more of a psychological issue or what it is, but because he's fit and he's had training, he's had game time, and we're still seeing not the best version of Joe Gomez. So I'm just glad that Konate is back.
Kev is a big boost, isn't it? Because Klopp trusted him over Joel Matip in the Champions League final, which to me says an absolute load about him as a player and as a person. Because although it didn't go the way we would have liked, I think he's probably our best player on the pitch on the day.
Absolutely. You noticed the back half of last season, he started playing the major games, especially in the Champions League. So he was starting to show the fruits of that fruition through then. Semi-final against Man City, big game. He's the number one centre half partnership for to go with Virgil in that game, and it proved to be the right choice in the end. I'd like to see him start on Saturday. I probably think it may be Matty, and his first game proper back from the start will be against Rangers midweek.
So yeah, we're not going to chuck him straight in the deep end, Dan. You think, yeah, maybe have a few days in training, he could be on the bench against Brighton and then midweek then go and start, do you think?
Yes, but knowing Klopp, we're probably going to see Matip for the next few 4 games. I would love to see him starting now, and I like taking risks. I need Konaté to go back into form, get match fitness again. Just that partnership next to Van Dijk, man, is just incredible. It's like there is no physical or tactical issue with them too. They're so perfect. Obviously, Konaté, because he's a little younger, he tends to do a few mistakes, positional mistakes or whatnot. But man, he's just so good. I need to see him back as soon as possible. But yeah. I think he's going to be Matip for the next 3-4 games until we end up seeing Konaté Champions League or starting for your side.
A player who has really impressed since he's returned, Diogo Jota, against Ajax. Fantastic player. I think we all noticed at this stage, like goal scorer, and just having him in that front three, he seems to make everything click, whilst also adding that attacking input, which we really do need nowadays. But yeah, he said in the Portugal versus Spain game, the manager wanted to slightly quiet your saying. All right, try and sort out in a minute. But yeah, so in the Spain game, he asked to be substituted. Very, very sensible from him. Good to see that he's kind of knowing the implications of playing extra minutes. And yeah, he's only just returned from injury, hasn't had a pre-season. Kev, it's really great to see this maturity and that he's saving himself for the game on Saturday.
It is. It's vital for our front three that Jota's back, to be honest. And I think it'll benefit Nunez as well, especially the fact that he can speak Portuguese. And he'll bring him on, and he'll bring him on tactically how to play in that number 9 position. He plays well. He played well for Portugal. I think he laid on about 3 or 4 for Ronaldo, and he should have scored more. But he has got that positional sense. I think it's very mindful of him and an understanding of his situation that he has to be taken off. That's a credit to himself, and it shows how much he sees this period of time now as his last opportunity. Not that he needs it, but it's a big week. It's a big couple of weeks before the World Cup. This is a big set of games that we've got coming up now, and there's a lot of big games in there, and we need our players, especially like Jota, especially fit and active and ready to be in that starting 11 for us.
Oh, absolutely. And Darwin Nunez. Actually, no, it's Karen Jota. I just wanted to praise Jota even more. Dan, I know you're a big admirer of him. Well, what can we say about Diogo Jota, and how important is it that he stays fit over these next coming weeks?
I feel like they don't appreciate as much Jota in Portugal, man. Everything's all this hype regarding Bernardo Silva and Cristiano Ronaldo, when we all know that the main man in that team is Diogo Jota, just wait until Ronaldo retires and we're going to see who the real star is in that team. Jota's going to get the starting spot. I don't think that we're going to see much of Joao Felix through the middle, maybe through the wings. But man, Jota is the man, and I've been trying to say this for a long time. We need to have Jota as a starter for the Liverpool side until Darwin Nunez gets fully accustomed or settled in with the team, man. I'm pretty sure you guys remember. I just get very excited about this. But when Jota came in, man, he was on fire. He was scoring day after day with his headers. He had some wonderful passes. He's quick. For me, he seems like a complete all-rounded striker, man. I want to see more of him. It looks like he's getting back into form, and I cannot wait until we finally see the old Jota that we saw the first months when he moved to Liverpool.
Oh, absolutely. And moving on now to Darwin Nunez, because yeah, he's kind of been in the headlines. Everyone's been giving him stick left, right, and centre on social media, or rival fans, we should say, really. But yeah, for Uruguay, he scored a header the other day. And look, I think just his style of play is kind of understanding that now. And Jurgen Klopp will have to try and figure out his best position in this Liverpool. Well, obviously, a striker, but best how to use him in that striker position, Kev.
Yeah, and we're still adapting to him as much as what he's trying to adapt to us. You've got to remember, he's come from Benfica and he's now gone up even another level to where he was at Benfica. And there's certain things, and you have to be more intelligent with how you play, because how you position yourself and where you are in a certain position has risks and it has rewards. But you've got to be confident in how to play that. And if you're not confident and it shows, then you'll end up having the mistakes that he has, and it then hits him. The fee doesn't help, especially with the away with the opposing fans, because they're catching on to it. You only have to see, he's only been with us for nearly 6 games, and there's more Twitter memes about Darwin Nunez in that period of time than what there was when he was at Benfica. Now that shows you the kind of level he's at now, and how much in the spotlight he is. He needs to adapt. We need to find a way to play with him. There's times when we play with him, we look for the long ball far too often, and we're not playing to his actual strengths, and he's not playing to our strengths either at the same time. That's where the interaction and with the Portuguese players, mingling them in, making part of the family, and bringing them in impact games. We've noticed in the City game, and we noticed in Ajax, that we've seen a little bit of a reaction when he comes off the bench, and that needs to be adapted for the next couple of games or so until he finds his form and until he starts scoring. It's a shame that he got suspended when he did, because I think against Bournemouth he would have scored about a hat-trick, maybe more. So that's where I see where we need to use him. But at the same time, he's 6 games into a 6-year contract. Let's give the lad time to come and adjust, because he's not going to be like a Diaz, which comes in and does it straight off the bat. It's taking him a little bit longer. So we just got to realise that as fans. But don't listen to the noise outside. Make that the chant on the inside when you're at the match. Make it as part of getting behind the player at the moment, which is what he needs, and it'll give him confidence.
I like what you did there, man. This is the first time I heard anybody said that. Actually, not only he's adjusting to our tactics, but Liverpool are adjusting to him. We never really had a player like that, just a sole striker. Because if you think about maybe the likes of Daniel Sturridge, who was probably the last striker that was playing under Klopp, or maybe Benteke. Benteke was completely bad. I never liked him. But Sturridge was more of a different type of a creator, a finisher. But man, Darwin is more of it's a taller, stronger figure. We're never really played under the tactics where we have a sole striker up front. So I feel like you're right. I feel like we're actually adapting to him or the type of player that Darwin is, and it's like a back and forward type of thing. Yeah, you're right.
But Dan, to play devil's advocate, let's say, do you think the criticism that Nunez has received is partly sort of warranted, because in reality he hasn't been anywhere near his best since coming in, and at the same time his touch has been way off it. There's been a lot kind of off, and yeah, you can make excuses for him, of course you can. I think we all do, because we're Liverpool fans and we want to get behind him, but at the same time it hasn't been great, has it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it hasn't been the best. It hasn't been the worst. It's just been a decent start of a season for one of a regular transfer. I think the main issue behind the whole Darwin Nunez situation is that he came in the same transfer window that Erling Haaland moved to Man City. So the comparisons are there between the two players. And despite both of them being a similar age, despite both of them coming from a weaker league, Erling Haaland's development is way ahead of Darwin Nunez's. I mean, he's playing for, first of all, I believe that obviously I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, but the German league, the Bundesliga, is way better than the Portuguese league. One, and secondly, Dortmund are way better than Porto, of course. Two, but in the third place, as a package itself, Erling Haaland's development is way ahead. I mean, he's already a complete striker. He's a world-class player anywhere in the world. While Darwin Nunez, on the other hand, he came in more of as a prospect, as a player that could eventually get to that level. So there's unfair comparisons, and I think that's where the main issue rests. Because if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for that high price tag that obviously we paid, nobody would really be caring about the whole situation. Because like I said before, we have Jota already, we have Firmino, so it's not like we needed a striker, because we have strikers. The problem is that now with the expectations of Erling Haaland right here scoring as many goals as possible everybody's starting to look at Liverpool. I mean, okay, so what's going on with Darwin Nunez? You guys paid almost 100 million. Where's the goals? But it's a player that is in a different type of development, you know. So I don't think it's a fair comparison. I feel like he's doing okay from what we've seen. He's been amazing. Of course, we need more goals, but I feel like he's getting placed in better positions. He's not afraid to shoot. He's not afraid to pass the ball when needed. He's very strong. It's only a matter of time until we see the actual Darwin Nunez.
I'm excited. You got me excited already now. And I'm ready to see Nunez again on Saturday, hopefully, even if it is just a cameo from the bench. But yeah, I saw a comment before saying the front three should be Salah, Nunez, and Jota. Kev, you can't drop Salah, I don't think. Jota, I think
you can't drop Dewey. You can't drop Diaz either. Diaz has been our most focal point and has been the gem we've got up front at the minute. I think going back to what we were talking about with Nunez, I think the issue you've got as well is that we're in a position where we have lost a lot of our key players. So he hasn't actually played in our strongest 11, which also means that he's having to adapt to other people's levels. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but that basically is the issue as well. We focus on it in a lot more because of what's going on around it, and he should be the one that takes us out of it. And he hasn't been, to be honest. It's actually less rested on the likes of Diaz. For me personally, going into Saturday, I would start Salah, Diaz, and Jota, and bring Nunez on after about 60 minutes or earlier if we are about 3 or 4-0 up half time. That's how I think we need to have the impact on him and bring him in doing that. I don't know what you think, Owen. Do you agree, or would you start him?
It's a hard one. It really is. But at the same time, you look at it, and against Ajax, I think that front three worked really well, and it has worked well in the past. So I think you have to kind of go with what you know. And Brighton are a fantastic side. So even though they have lost their manager, Graham Potter, and I believe it's the first game without him for them. So yeah, by no means is it going to be easy going up against them whatsoever. And we're going to need to capitalise on the chances because they have a great defence. Very, very hard to break down. So, but at the same time, I think having that sort of big man like Darwin Nunez, because they have got some very, very big centre halves in Lewis Dunk and a few others like that. So I think maybe having Darwin Nunez could cause a bit of a nuisance, but at the same time, Diogo Jota is fantastic in the air. So it's really, really hard to weigh up. And yeah, I think what Klopp would do, I think he'll start Nunez on the bench, but bring him on kind of 60 minutes, like you've said. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Nunez start whatsoever. But getting into a bit of transfer news coming out just now, well, today, kind of sort of spread out really over the past few days, saying that Liverpool kind of preparing a bid for Nico Barella, and yeah, I've got interest in him. So, look, all this talks about Jude Bellingham, and I think we all kind of know deep down that Liverpool's number one target for midfielder is Jude Bellingham. But look, there's no guarantees we're going to get him, and it's good to see, Dan, that we've got a backup plan. That if we can't get Jude, then we're not totally finding ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I got into a point where I want to think about different options other than Jude. You know, there's this whole ongoing trend about just getting Jude. Jude is coming. Jude needs to come. Jude. I mean, yes, he's maybe a Liverpool fan. Maybe his parents are Liverpool fans. His name, I mean, he was named after the Beatles or whatnot. I mean, it's a match made in heaven, you know. But what happens if you don't get him? It's not like as fans, there's going to be a huge meltdown, you know. But there has to be different options, and we cannot act like if we don't get Bellingham, like the world is going to end. So just like you were saying, man, I'm just happy that finally we're getting more options. Nico Barella, man, Moises Caicedo. People are going to tell me as many a thing as they want, but Caicedo has the same attributes that Jude Bellingham has. It's going to be a similar situation to the Darwin Nunez and Erling Haaland situation. So in one hand, you have an already finished player, like in the Erling Haaland case, and then the other hand, you have Darwin Nunez, who's not up there. Similar thing with Caicedo and Bellingham. Bellingham is making the rounds everywhere. He's a complete player, world star, blah, blah, blah. Caicedo has all the same attributes, but he still needs to develop them. So I feel like it's a similar situation, you know. I want Quesero, I want Nicolo Barella, I want Federico Valverde, who at this point in time seems like an impossible thing to do because of I think he has like an incredibly high release clause. I want different players, man. There's so many options out there, and I want to start drifting my mind into thinking that if we don't get Bellingham, we can get someone that could have the same effect, the same impact, that doesn't necessarily is named after a Beatle member, you know. So, so yeah, I'm just glad that there's other options. And Nicolo Barella, man, he's amazing. He's perfect. Who doesn't want Nicolo Barella, right?
Exactly, and 60 million is the fee being thrown out there, and given Inter Milan's financial situation, it's kind of like it could be a perfect scenario, really, Kev. And do you think their situation could play a big part in the transfer?
Possibly. Who's to say we don't sign both of them? Do you know what I mean? Never rule it out. All I'll say with Barella is as you know yourself, we've talked about this all through the summer months. A lot of us do want Barella as an option, and would have been an option this summer to bring in, but he wasn't willing to move away from Italy. That may have changed now, Jordan. You know what we're hearing, but he's going to be one of many who's going to be linked with us until someone signs someone. So we are going to be linked with every midfielder between now and the World Cup and after. And if every time Bellingham scores, we're going to hear social media kick off that there's another 5 million added on to the actual fee. And then before we know it, after the World Cup, we're looking at about 400 million for him. It's ridiculous. It's insane. And the only time I wish that this social media was around in 83, and I'm showing my age now, because Michael Laudrup was signed by Liverpool at that time on a 3-year deal. We went back the following day and asked for more years, and he left and went to join Juventus. And our backup for that time was John Walk, who went on and scored 25 goals that season for us. Could you imagine the fume that social media would have been from losing out to Michael Laudrup, one of the best players in midfield ever to live and grace the game, to moving it down to a player who came in from Ipswich? You know what I mean? It would have gone off its scale. That's the level you're getting with Bellingham at the minute, and it is getting a little bit tedious with the Bellingham shouts. But hey, you know, I'll be happy to have both of them. Barella, I'm all over Barella. I would love him in our midfield. I'd have him tomorrow. I'd sell my house just to sign him. He's honestly.
Oh dear. Yeah, but I think Bellingham for England as well. He's starting to do it on the international stage. It's worth saying, which before I think was always kind of really uncertain whether. Obviously, Gareth Southgate, we all know what he's like, but even Gareth Southgate's seen the light now and is playing him. So I think that probably says something. But Barcelona, what's happened to them now? It hasn't been mentioned, their financial situation, in a long, long time, if any of you guys know.
So the last thing I heard from them is that they pulled the third financial lever, I think is what they call it, or fourth, you know? So obviously they were able to sign all these players, and they were also able to sign up most of them and get them all, because, and you know, they got Kessie and Christensen, and they couldn't sign them up yet because of the whole financial issue. But starting next season, there's going to get a point where they're going to start to they're going to need help. So they're basically doing the same thing that they were trying to avoid as soon as their new president came in. So the whole situation was to sell players, kind of ease the whole like financial situation that they did. But maybe Xavi, or I don't know who it was, that started asking for all those signings. They said, you know, we need to have a whole infrastructure. Let's pull another leverage for financial leverage. So they asked the bank for money, so they're still more in depth now. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, Xavi doesn't bring them down, because if so, it's gonna go incredibly bad. I mean, the latest rumors, they're now trying to buy Trent Alexander-Arnold, supposedly based on rumors, and if they don't get him, they're gonna go crazy spending for a right back, according to reports coming from the reliable Gerard Romero. So but I don't know where all this money is coming from. As many leverages as they can, there's gonna be a point where they're not gonna be able to fix this.
Absolutely mental. But yeah, to be fair, throughout the summer, everyone was talking about it, and now literally nobody's talking about it whatsoever. But I can see Reece James going to Barca. You know, I think money could tempt him, and I can see that one happening. I can't see Trent going there. I just think Liverpool value him too highly, and that Klopp and even Trent would just say, "What's the point, really?" Kev, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think Trent could be off to Barcelona in a few years, or do you think he's going to be Liverpool's whole career, Steven Gerrard 2.0?
He will be a Paolo Maldini. He will stay at Liverpool for the rest of his career. Barcelona is a weird one. You're looking at 25 years of remortgaging, just to bring in, selling media companies, bringing in as much money as they possibly can, now in a reasonable position. But you then forget that they've sold media rights as well for the next 20 odd years as well. So any media rights that come in, they're already sold off. So it's now based. It's a big gamble and it's a risk that it's now based on these players that they brought in. Whether it works or not, who knows? We all know that they're one of the clubs out there, especially with Real Madrid, especially with the South American teams that you want to go and play for, and are seen as the creme de la creme. If you're playing for one of those, either them or Real Madrid, you're making it in football. It'll be sad if it goes belly up, but contrary to reports, it's just fun. It's just amazing. If anyone done it here, we'd be kicking off as the fans, the way they've running mold the club. But it's I can see more Chelsea players going to the likes of Barcelona and leaving, because there's not that kind of link or community spirit that you get with Liverpool players who will, who are fanatical, will stay at the club, one man team. I think at some point they will leave, but I can't see it being anytime soon. Can you, Owen?
It's an interesting one. I think, like English players, I think it's totally different, really, compared to Spanish, any sort of international. Growing up, they all kind of see Barcelona, Real Madrid as the big giants, and maybe that would change going forward now for the new generation, because I think English football is definitely taking that step up, really. The likes of Liverpool, Man City, playing the quality football, winning not for Man City, obviously winning Champions Leagues, of course, but Liverpool, Chelsea won Champions League. So I think they've kind of upped the tempo there on the big stage. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. And I think English players in years to come, I've seen it in Germany now with Musiala, Jude Bellingham, all playing in Germany. So yeah, why couldn't it be in Spain? But yeah, to end the stream, we'll talk a bit about Saturday's game. And we'll go over score prediction in case you guys aren't on between now and Saturday. So Dan, I'll start with you. How do you see the game going?
It's gonna go in our favor, totally, completely, man. I mean, I'm just ready for the match. Quoting Rio Ferdinand, man, Liverpool are back, baby. Mainly because of the fitness situation. Get all these players back. I don't know how well we will perform. But the sole fact that we have all these players available now, it just makes me so happy. Brighton to have Graham Potter behind them, and he was a huge part of their success. In fact, he was a whole pillar behind that team. In fact, you can say if you take Jurgen Klopp out of Liverpool, you still have the stars there, so they're still going to be dangerous. But with Brighton, if you take the mind out of that team, I feel like it's going to be all over the place. So it's going to be a very different situation for them. It's going to be difficult. I think we're finally going to be able to get a comfortable win if everything goes as planned. I'm confident, man. I need Darwin Nunez to score a few goals too, man. He needs to up his level of confidence, so we can at least just show it, put it in everybody's faces on social media, man. By the way, I made a post on Twitter, because for those who don't know, I tend to run the social media at times. I made a post of Darwin Nunez shooting out of the box for Uruguay. A crazy shot, by the way, that obviously the goalkeeper saved it. It was an incredible shot, decent shout. And I was like, oh, wow, like look at the shot. But this thing went crazy. In seconds, a bunch of Man City fans, rival fans, quoting it, saying, oh, what a goal. Look at that. Like, you guys have gone down so like bad or something like that. Can you imagine how crazy all the rival fans are ready to jump in and just go crazy on Darwin Nunez, man? I cannot wait until he goes back into full form, scoring goals, man. I'm going to feel so good. But in the meantime, let's enjoy Jota, because I feel like it's more of his time now.
Yeah, it made me laugh seeing that on Twitter. And seeing it put in the group chat with everyone saying, "What's going on here? Like, why are people getting so triggered by this post?" But I guess that's kind of modern day football and social media for you. But Kev, Saturday, are you going to the game?
I am season ticket holder, so I'll be there.
Love that.
Cheering on. I'll be honest, me predicting on here, I predicted a few games on here. I predicted the Fulham game, and we know how that turned out. Palace as well. So all I want is 3 points, and I'll take them any way we can. Play our best 11 as best we can, and hope that I'm glad in a way that the game's at home and not at Brighton. I think that kind of benefits us in a way. It's glad that Henderson, I know he only came on for a few minutes for England, but he's had a training session under his belt. So there's, I'm happy that he's getting back into the fold. The midfield starting to get back to where it needs to. Trent maybe a bit down from not being played, but that you might see a reaction on Saturday. Salah scoring 2 for Egypt. We may see a break
too,
for,
right?
Yeah. So we have got we've got everyone basically back. We've had 2 weeks off. I think they'll be biting at the bit, and I'll just take 3 points. That's all I'm going to say.
Thiago didn't go to Spain either, man. Everybody's available, man. It's going to be crazy.
Exactly. So it's going to be great. What's your thoughts, Owen? What's your prediction, mate?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Liverpool. I think, I'm the same as you, Kev. I've predicted it a few times. I was confident about this game, and it did not go well whatsoever. So just
come on, that is not a confident prediction. Come on, man. I think it's going to be like a 3-1, 3-0 result for sure.
Yeah, I think Brighton they're a hard team to break down, I think, and we can't underestimate them at all. So it's not quite a 9-0 whatsoever. But Jen, optimistic fan, absolutely love that. And thanks for tuning in, and make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Really, really appreciate your support as always. And we'll catch you guys in a bit.